Hello, everybody, and welcome to Low Fuel Motorsports Season 18. It's been a while since I've got to say that. My name is Saputron, aka Ben Sapsford. It's good to be with you all tonight. And tonight we have got ourselves an exciting round of racing. You join us here for the CaseKing.de Pro Series, and tonight a very special night because it is the Porsche Cup round at Watkins Glen. What that means is we have the Porsche 992 spec GT3 car, and everyone is going to be on even footing. Only differentiators are going to be setups, talent, and force of will. We're looking forward to a great evening of racing. So wherever you are in the world, we welcome you on board, and thank you everyone for joining us. Some of you may be coming over from the German channel, who was just covering the Silverstone race with, I believe it was some of the Ginettas. And now you can, of course, if you want to watch in German, you can tag along over there. We also have Spanish broadcast, I do believe, on other channels, as well as here for the English broadcast. Got much to look forward to, and we've got plenty of hardcore racers joining us tonight. Before we go any further, let's talk standings before we talk track, and Sam Gaskell is the car to beat heading into tonight's round. 5,254 points and just ahead of Shea O'Sullivan in second. Boothby in third place with Eric Delfante, Grantas Carecas, Philip Minar, and Tobias Gronwald, just to name a few. Jaroslav Honzik, Sasha Wasner, and Fabrizio Campanella round out your top 10, and you can see the rest of the standings fall into place as we make our way through the listings. Also have, of course, a intense season that we've had up until this point. We're just crossing over to the second half, and very soon we will be going over trackside as the drivers are priming. Free practice is underway, but it will soon be time to go qualifying. If you've been here for prior rounds, you know the drill at this point. Key things to note: qualifying, it's going to be a quick race around that circuit. It's going to require every inch of focus. Of course, everyone in the Porsches is going to mean that it will be a tough one to overcome. 15-minute qualifying session here tonight before a 60-minute race. You have a 20-minute pit window as well, which gives a little bit of flexibility for drivers, but you're still going to have to time things very carefully, both around your competitors as well as on the course itself, managing your initial strategy. You've got to control where you come out into traffic. You've got to be able to have the flexibility to make those judgment calls, as well as looking at the results from last time out. Last time we were out in Monza, and Carecas was the one to take the checkered flag in very impressive fashion as well. See a lot of variation. We see a Mustangs, a couple of Ferraris. We actually see the Honda make an appearance as well. The BMW and Aston Martin making occasional appearances. Looks like Ferrari still is one of the cars that seems to be the favourite on course, but we are going to go trackside in just a moment as free practice is soon coming to an end. This is also where we want to hear from you. If you have any favourite drivers, anyone that you want to see do well on track tonight, make it known in that live chat. We've got the share chat with the German channel as well, so you'll get a chance to see who is really throwing their support out there tonight. And with that, I think we're going to check in with a few of our drivers just before free practice comes to an end. So quickly going trackside. Also, we're jumping on with current leader in the championship, Sam Gaskell, in the number 2. Would also like to share a small apology, given that there have been a couple of back-end issues with the brand new livery tool, trying to get those resolved, but do accept my apologies as it hasn't quite functioned as intended in this case. Rest assured, we'll try and get it working as soon as possible. If needed, we might take a small break, a small interim, in order to get things fixed up and working. See how it goes. But Current times on the board. Initial indications. You've got a lot of variance in time. 45.3, fastest time on the board right now. That's going to be from Philip Minard. And we have a couple of drivers who are a little bit behind that. We have Eric Del Fonte in second, Anders Amundsen in third. We do have a couple of liveries that seem to be preserved. I believe that these are defaults. Try to get those back up and running. Amundsen pulling off to the side. 45.1, new fastest time coming through. It's going to be Grantas Karekas. That's going to be him in the number 3 car. We have 24 drivers joining us on track tonight. A good chunk of them in the pit still, given it is a free practice at this stage. But no doubt it's going to be all wheels are blazing when it comes to qualifying. A little bit of a wobble there as Tobias Haug. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Ouch. See, the 90 is one of the most notorious corners, along with the S's. Then you have the bus stop, chicane. For me, big thing that makes Watkins Glen such a special track is going to be the almost non-linearity of it all. What I mean by that, you've got a hefty amount of undulation, you've got a little bit of camber, a lot of turns. You can put a bit more into that corner than you otherwise would. Let the camber of the circuit help you out, get a little bit more lateral grip. It's especially true in Sector 2, where you can almost ride like a roller coaster. You can ride it all down the hill. A nice sweep through. That's Paul Godowski, number 10. But free practice has officially come to an end, folks. So in just a moment, we will be going to qualifying, and it's going to be a no-holds-barred shootout. You can see it's fairly dark here at Watkins. It's deep into the evening, 19-degree track surface and ambient temp. That's going to be something these drivers are going to have to juggle. Be very careful with. Now, if I were any of the drivers on track, I'd be a little bit cautious of the wind as well. 13 kilometers an hour crosswinds. That is going to introduce a little bit of instability to the aero of the car. Here we go. Qualifying is now officially underway, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, the shootout begins. Immediately, everyone going to be dashing out as fast as they humanly can in order to get their cars out on top. Nobody is going to be waiting even a second, as there will be a massive fight to get everyone into position, get a bit of a yardstick as to where they stand on the timing boards. Quick exit, quick escape is going to be essential here. And more than anything, you want to get out of the wake of another car. Like, we're on board with Sam Gaskell right now. He's tucked right in behind another Porsche. That's going to be Boothby, his main competition rivals. Have a little bit of a squabble between the two, I imagine, because don't forget as well, they're not just locking horns on this track. they are locking horns for major points rights. We've got 70 points splitting these two. And Boothby, well, he knows he's within striking distance of getting P2 or even P1 out of Gaskel's hands. So this could be everything to him. Regardless, though, we're going to jump on board as we go for our first flying lap here in the Porsche Cup round of the Pro Series. Let's take it. It's going to be with the number 1 car. It's going to be Boothby, and immediately he's going to be charging hard straight into 6th gear for jumping on those brakes just before the left-hand sponsor board into the 90 degrees. Nicely done there. Little bit on the curb side, but still a legal lap. Still keeping it narrow and nicely controlled. The thing is, you've got to remain committed to the corner. No sudden jerks in the steering. That's going to be very costly if you were to make that kind of mistake. Boothby, though, keeping it nice and gentle. A little bit of bumping across as we head through the bus stop. Even getting 2 wheels on the grass there. He's still going for it. A little bit wobbly and bobbly. But now heading down into chute and through into the 2nd sector. Key thing here is as you head into tow, this right-hand hairpin, you want to get the best exit you can. You need all the momentum and the power that you can muster to get up that hill. Get on that throttle quick. Oh, looks like it's going to be an abandon following the bus stop from Boothby. Let's see how Gaskel gets on. He's very much committed to this lap still in the number 2. Who is going to be the car to beat? As initial times are going to be coming through in just a moment. Let's see who has the pace and the wherewithal, as times are soon to come through. Let's have it then, as we now make our way down. First set of laps, Gaskel, 45.582. Time to beat, it's going to be Van Rossum with a 46, and then many other cars now making their way through. It's 45 coming through. Garekas get a 45.340, new fastest of the session. Got a few more cars now making their way, trying to space themselves out and get as much leverage on the rest of the field as they can. Shea O'Sullivan into 2nd. Gaskel being demoted down into 3rd. Amundsen just comes through with a 46.405. Looking like we've got an initial spread of about 2 seconds. Here's Michael Frey. Looks like there was an invalidation on his previous lap, so this one is going to be the one that he commits. Claudio Zaza goes through a 47.502. Dustin Purpell and just up ahead of him. And then Luis Rainier, as many more times, are now making their way through. You can see quite a condensed field already in the early stages of the session. It's looking like nobody is holding back. First 5 minutes of qualifying now underway, and it's going to be absolute fireworks. It's George Boothby following on from the back of another Porsche. I do believe that is Gaskel still. I think these two running in close quarters might be beneficial, but be careful of the dirty air. Combined with those crosswinds, might introduce a bit of an issue. Sweeping his way through. Final couple of corners now. Now to the final sector. That pit entry, that's going to catch a couple of people out, I imagine, in the race itself. But Boothby comes up to the line. What's it going to be from him? It's going to be a new fastest, 45.255. Just going to pip Karekas for pole position of the session right now. A few more cars now coming through. Amundsen, after a solid start, it is going to be a quick run down to the final corner. Even just a tiniest tap on the back wall on the final corner there. 46.4 to beat. 46.2 where he's going to go. Small gap and increase. Not quite enough to make a major hit. Nothing to write home about, unfortunately. There's Rainier coming through as we've just had Milan Kiss get into 7th position up ahead of him. Rainier's getting himself up into 8th and 7 milliseconds away from Kies's time there. So very close on the margins. We're about halfway through the qualifying session and nothing seems to slow these cars down. Gotta say, I'm mighty impressed. You're able to extract that much pace from these machines. It is truly a sight to behold. Is Axel Ramune in the number 9. Now coming, cresting over the boot and into the heel. I think aptly named when you look at that track map. See a couple of local yellows as drivers do jump in and out of the pit lane and get themselves an optimal spacing for the qualifying. Make sure there's no cars in your way to stop you from performing at your best. Ramune now 3 seconds up. This could be a meteoric rise through the field. He just needs to nail this final corner. That delta is looking ridiculous right now. 48.4, 45's on the cards coming up to the line just in the tail of another Porsche. It's 6th place for Ramune, 45.572. Kerekis was just the one up ahead there, and 45.5 was his last time, so no improvement on previous. Marcus Fox just coming up now. Small improvement to be made into the 46s, but no positions gained. Nothing to bring home just yet anyway. 46.2 coming in for Dustin Herpel, as we've just had a 46 flat from Michael Frey to get himself into the top 10. Looks like a lot of the top runners are going into the pit lane, and it's going to be a bit of a question mark now for many cars. Will they commit to a further run, or have they made their statement? Do they think they can improve? That's the question on everyone's mind. Boothby seems like he's got more in the tank. He's gone out again. He's setting himself up soon. This is his installation lap for what is going to be soon another run. Like a lot of drivers on their installation laps here, as very few are fully committed to a lap at this point in time. So a couple of drivers to keep an eye on, particularly at the sharp end of the standings. It's going to be a no-holds-barred fight. It's going to be between the likes of Gaskell. It's going to be between the likes of Boothby. Shea O'Sullivan in the mix as well. Just 12 milliseconds behind Gaskell's time right now. Boothby, of course, being the car to beat, but I expect we'll see those times drop much further down. Eric Del Fante, 7th place right now, 4th in the standings, with Kerekis really showing his stuff here at Watkins, with the 2nd spot going to him and just under a 10th behind pole position of Boothby. See many cars now coming through. There's Nadazinski just coming across in the number 17. He will be the next car to gain 46.2. We will soon be seeing a lot of drivers get their full core laps underway, which I think we are now. So the deltas aren't quite playing cooperative, but these drivers are on full push. Make no mistake. Here's Minar. See a lot of them practically throwing it across the bus stop. Not as deep as we saw on Boothby's initial run, but still not afraid to take a bite out of those curbs. Still going to be plenty of room to push as well, as we do have about 5 minutes left, which equates to about 2 full core runs, plus a third if you can get across the line in time. Going to be Foch just coming through now. One of the last to set a time. Kevin Bellick also being one of the drivers who has yet to put anything on the boards. We've had a 47 and a 46, but whatever reason, they are not counted as valid. Many more cars now making their way through. Let's jump on board with some of the leaders. You've got Boothby in just heading into the toe. Kerekis just coming out of the heel. You know, Kerekis has got some serious speed, as we saw from earlier in the session, so let's see what he can do. He's now making his way out into the final corners. Looks like he's got his own pocket at the track as well, so he's not going to suffer any impedance. Go very narrow on the inside of the final corner and then barely tapping the outside wall. Minimal speed loss there. 45.305, a tenth exactly faster than Philip Minar and confirming his second place spot. Meanwhile, how is Boothby doing? Looks like he went seriously off the track in the final corner, so this is going to be a session or a lap to forget. Gaskell is a couple of hundredths down on his previous, so no improvements for him there. Same with Shea O'Sullivan. 48.1 and from Pavel Godowski, as we do have a couple of jumps further away. We'll see a few drivers trying to make some more time on their laps. Nobody is going to be jumping up crazily far, like we saw with the 3-second delta a little bit earlier on. See a couple of drivers tucking to the inside, out the way of the racing line, respecting drivers who are hot on laps, so trying to set themselves up for their own. Tim Flagg in the number 25. Coming up to the final corners now. Has some improvement on the cards. Could get himself into the top 20. Get himself out of the bottom 5 at the very least. A little bit of time loss in that final sector, unfortunately. Doesn't look like he's quite going to bring it home. It's going to be a 46.8. It is going to be P20 on the dot, but not quite close enough for what he wanted. Gaskell, meanwhile, has made an improvement. Leapfrogged up to P2. 45.280. Just 25 milliseconds. Quarter of a hundredth out from George Boothby. Is he going to be able to peel some time in on his own lap? Boothby looks like he's encountered a bit of a traffic problem and he's tailed off by a couple of tenths. A few improvements here and there. Improvement from Kevin Belic into P18. So going to see Amundsen, previously in the top 10, now has dropped down somewhat. Shoots his way up to P11. 46.097. Impressive run. Shea O'Sullivan into P4, meanwhile, and looking like a rocket as he does so. Looks like he could be on the cards for a fastest. His delta is the fastest that he's had so far. See how he gets on. Karekas could be another driver to watch as he's got himself a healthy run. And about a tenth up as he heads into tow. Not quite going to see everything fully because it is quite dark here at Watkins, but one thing's for sure, that pace, the Porsche, cannot be understated. The plain black in absence of liveries. Almost fitting. We head deeper into the night here in the session. It's going to be Karekas now coming through. Still a 10th up. Potential to get a new fastest time here in the session. Final 30 seconds. If you want to get a lap done, you go, you get it now. As Karekas comes through the final corner and is fully committed to this run across the line. What's it going to be? It's a 45.2 flat. And the new pole position here for the session. Immensely done by Grantas Karekas. Meanwhile, Boothby had an invalidation of his lap now heading into the final corner. He's just going to be able to, or is he? Is he going to be able to make the flag? No, he's just shy of it. His session is over. P2 is the best he will get. Many others are on their laps, managed to get their crossing of the start-finish line well ahead of time. I do feel for Boothby. He's just short, a single second short. That's got to hurt. No, he was anchoring to get that pole back. But regardless, it's not to be tonight. Nadazinski, my mistake, is going to be abandoning his lap here. Many are across the field. Eric Delfante is going to be abandoning and bowing out of his lap as well. Gaskell might have a chance here about how he can handle this last section. Remember, even a quarter of a hundredth will be enough to leapfrog him past Boothby and put his major championship rival on the back foot. Shea O'Sullivan, another driver to go through. There's Artem Hageman in P19 just up ahead. Will they be able to get an improvement there? See, Hageman crosses the line. Small improvement as well. There's going to be Gaskell, 0.372. No time being afforded, unfortunately. Kevin Belic also coming through the final couple of corners now, as the session is going to soon draw to a close and racing will soon get underway. A little bit of a slide as Belic just invalidates and then dives into the pit lane. Shea O'Sullivan still keeping it a legal run. Oh, suddenly gains a 10th in the final corner, but a weak exit into that last bend is going to be enough to do him in, and that is all she wrote. Unfortunately, that's where we are going to leave it. So, Caracas is your driver to beat, as we are now going to jump in with our live grid walk. Let's see the drivers have got to show for us today. In your first place, ooh, looks like there's going to be a minor hiccup with the grid walk there. Trying to just verify exactly what's gone on. But we'll take you through manual regardless anyway. It's going to be a quick sweep through. Garantas Caracas in first place with George Boothby in P2. Sam Gaskell is going to be in third position. Just going to try one more time to see if we can get that grid walk working. Yes, we can. So there's going to be Caracas in first position with a 45.2 flat. Immensely good work there, with Boothby in second, closely behind, and just a half second away. Quarter of a hundredth later, it's going to be Sam Gaskell in the number 2, and you can see everyone's, of course, stats are looking absolutely immense here. Shea O'Sullivan in P4 with 45.307. Philip Minar is going to be next up in P5 in the number 5 Porsche with a 45.405. The South African is going to bring his A game. Eric Del Fante next, the Italian job, and aptly named in the number 4 with P7 going to Axel Ramune in the OP Lights Esports team, 45.572. Sasha Wasner in the number 7 is going to be your P8 spot, 45.760, and bringing the heat here. As we round off top 10, it's 0 Point Racing, the number 8 of Luke Addison, and then Michael Frey in P10 with the Mertel Motorsport Racing with Ferrari team in the number 12. Into your next 10, we have Anders Amundsen, West Competition Racing with the number 16 at 46.097. P12 is going to be Daniel Nadazinski with the number 17 Limitless Speed Driver's Car, and then closely followed by Pavel Gadowski in the number 10. PS UK Esports, howdy Pit Stop, good to see you. If you know, you know. I wonder if Andy's watching. Drive Through Sim Racing in P14 in the number 15, 46.135, with Lois Rainier in P15 with La Vega Missile, number 11 car. As we round out to our last few places now, it's going to be Dustin Herpel with the new engine team, number 14, 16th on the grid, closely followed by Lawrence Van Rossum with Unicorn Racing in the number 18, 46.420. Number 18 is going to go to Kevin Belic with Belic GT Racing in the number 20, and at 46.595. Followed closely by Artem Hageman for Carbon Motorsport. Fitting that the livery didn't want to load. He's got a nice carbon finish. P20 going to Marcus Fox for Racing Insights, number 23 at 46.757. Final 5, it's going to be Tim Flagg for JS Racing in the number 25, 46.772. Closely followed by Miguel Severio, the LK Motorsport Racing team, hailing from Portugal. Last couple of cars now. Claudio Zaza in the number 19, Sky Sim Sport is going to be the driver in P23, with 24 going for Tobias Haug in Carbon Motorsport as well, 47.037. And lastly, but certainly not least, Samir Foch with a 31 minute. I think he just didn't set a time there, so... yeah, I think he just didn't set a time, but we'll see if he can bring that back up, as we are soon to start the session. Formation lap about to get underway. as the session is officially starting here. The timer has elapsed. We're going to jump aboard with the helicopter as Caracas is going to be the first to move. And he's going to tail the rest of the field in motion. Well, can't have any BOP issues if everyone's in the same car. That 992 GT3 is going to be an absolute beast, as we've already seen. So the other question is, have the drivers been able to adjust and dial that car into their driving style? Your setup is going to be everything. How you get that car to behave, how you can extract the maximum amount of pace, that is going to be everything here. A reminder to those who missed the start, 20-minute pit window, 60-minute race, and welcome everyone to those who are watching. If you've got any driver you want to show a bit of support to, let us know in that live chat, of course. And it's good to see some familiar faces joining us as well. See some drivers trying to get a little bit of heat into those tires, get a bit of temperature in, because the track certainly isn't going to help you. 19 degrees surface and ambient. Cooling's not going to be an issue, but your tire temps may do. I think the drivers usually have expected 25 approximate degrees track surface temp, maybe even higher. Means those compounds are nice and tacky. But it is going to be a different challenge here. You've got to try and keep the heat in those tyres. I don't think it's going to be an issue for the most part. I think the drivers will have compensated suspension geometry, tyre pressures, etc. It's going to be a mix between that and keeping your aero surfaces under control. That 14 km/h crosswind is no joke. Everyone lining up in tandem. Just wants to get some heat in and then get into their formation position. See, Caracas leads. Boothby in tow. Double file soon to come. Who will be the crowning driver? Who is going to stand tall? The Porsche Cup awaits. The Porsche Cup beckons. Of course, as we head soon into, after this, the final 5 rounds, it's going to be a crucial session for many. You do have the drop rounds, but those can't always save you. You're going to need to get those best performances every time. This is where we stand. Under the cover of night. 25 Porsches line up for the top split of the Case King Pro Series. My name is Ben Sapsford. I'll be your guide. The track is hot here at Watkins Glen. We are about to go here for the 7th round, and we are go immediately. Going to be on the jump. There's Caracas going to the racing line. Boothby tries to switch up, immediately tucking back in. Pokes the nose to the right side. Not quite going to have the chance to go for it just yet. Shea O'Sullivan is hard off into the left as the runoff is not going to be where he wants to be. Gaskell is his rival. They're going side by side all the way through the S's. It's a mad dash. It's 2 by 2. Noah's Ark would be proud. 3 wide at points as everyone just wants to get the space, get themselves out ahead before we get to the bus stop here. You can't go double wide here. It is asking for trouble. You're going to have a little bit of contact further down. It's going to be Minot and Delfante They went side by side through the bus stop. They somehow managed to make it work. Nobody is going to be holding back here. 110%. Already Caracas trying to get a bit of a gap out on the field. And looks like we are going to see a massive amount of fighting in the mid-pack. But all is going to be trying to settle at the front end. Here's going to be Herpel. It's going to be everyone just trying to angle out and trying to get some room on that course. Now making their way out through into the boot. Caracas already getting about 3/4 of a second and growing the gap to George Boothby. This is an ideal situation for him. He's going to have a chance to break away while it's still chaotic. Leave Boothby in the dust. Let him fight with Sullivan. But now coming through to the end of the first lap. It's single file, but tightly packed. Sasha Wazner into P7 right now, but hot on the heels of Del Fante. Looking to maybe tee himself up for a move into the 90. Let's find out. See initial laps now coming through. Gaskell in fourth, trying to chase onto O'Sullivan, but not quite close enough yet. Sasha Wazner going for a little bit of a peek either side, not quite materializing into the move he wanted. Be a bit of squabbling as well. Lois Rainier is going to be tucking behind Kevin Bellich as they get the overtake into the 90. Well, this is a crucial setup phase of the race. This is where everyone is going to have to be on their best behavior, keep themselves out of trouble, but also don't be afraid to get those elbows out. Time is of the essence here. You cannot afford to wait around. There is simply no replacement for pace around here. LFM, of course, commands the best of the best in terms of driving. If you're going to get into split one, you better earn it. You better prove it, as everyone in here has done. When you're at such high-level competition, every millisecond counts. Cher Sullivan, for instance, remained deadlocked, 4/10 behind George Boothby. With Boothby trying his best to make up time to Caracas. Really strong first lap from Caracas there, and looking like they're continuing on the momentum they held from the first lap. Very smooth, very clean. You see Nadazinski and Gadowski also having a bit of back and forth. They're trying to judge and psych each other out, having different lines, trying to alternate, space each other out a little bit. Fastest lap of the session going to Shea O'Sullivan, 45.540 right now. Certainly looking to make an impact and angle on an attack. See, Wazner has dropped back a little bit to Del Fante, hasn't been able to quite get the run done. Nadazinski, we are going to quickly dial back and have a look at that. So we can see these two have been squabbling a little bit now. And they have just tried to space each other out as best they can, but it's a fight of attrition. It really is going to be a fight of attrition now. You can see Nadazinski, oh, something's happened. We have had a casualty. As we are trying to catch up with that is Michael Frey. So let's see exactly what happened here. Let's go on board with the helicopter. Let's see what happened. This is Michael Frey, the number 12. Was previously in a very good position. What happened here? A bit of a wobble through the bus stop. And, oh, just getting caught on the curbs. Major impact into the left side barrier through the loop. And you can see just getting passed by multiple cars. Brutal there. Unfortunately, that is going to leave Frey down in the depths with a significant gap to now make up. Going to be under a lot of pressure. But now we're starting to see the field break into two distinct sets. Everyone in the top 10 is currently within around a second. However, you do have on the edge of that Pavel Gadowski, who is 1.9 seconds teetering on that knife edge. You can't go too far, otherwise you will lose the gap. Milan Kiss under some pressure, did try to go for a bit of a move on Nadazinski, but Herpel is going to keep him honest on that front, not going to allow him to get away so easily. Remember, any mistake the driver here makes is going to be paid back in full. The driver behind. So many cars in such tight succession. There is no room for error. We are drag racing into the bus stop. Herpel has to tuck in behind, but not before establishing a little bit of pressure, forcing Milan Kiss to take a suboptimal line. Keep that proximity, keep them close, keep them honest. About coming up to 10 minutes into the race, and one thing that's standing out for sure is that not afraid to get their elbows out. Herpel getting a much better line out of chute and into toe is going to confirm the move on Milan Kiss. Just up ahead now. Nicely done for the number 14. While Caracas is one previously in a position of dominance, now starting to feel the burn a little bit. George Boothby has managed to reel him in a little bit and has got about half a tenth of a second on their previous laps. They made up a lot of time on this one too, so I'm curious to see what their times are as we are soon going to cross the line heading into lap 4. Rekus being the car to beat. Boothby probably still a little bit sore about being left at the line from qualifying, not getting that final chance. Really is turning up the heat. 45.925 last for Caracas. Boothby 0.695. He is not going to let that number 3 car get away. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Luis Rainier going for a bit of a drag race here as Milan Kiss is going to be to their right. Has to tuck in as they go through the 90 and into the S's. I don't think he's going to be waiting just yet. There you can see tucks right in with Kiss going for a defensive position. Sticks to the right-hand side, trying to confirm their place ahead. A little bit of a wobble for both of them over the bus stop. Suboptimal line there for sure from Milan. But Rainier not getting the best exit either. Cannot capitalize. Just can't get that angle in. This is going to be a tight run. Belic as well on the back of Rainier. Exactly what we were saying before about any mistakes being paid for by the driver behind you. It's going to be a quick rush for many. I am curious about who is going to pull the trigger on an attack first, whether we're going to see the mid-pack start to shuffle around, or whether we'll see the likes of Shea O'Sullivan. Boothby's lost some time again, as Caracas has picked up the slack. So now it is going to be a waiting game. Who will be the one to do it? Shea O'Sullivan, Sam Gaskell just behind. Nobody's going to leave anything on the table here. Sullivan will be in a bit of a difficult position, all things being said. P3, nothing to scoff at. However, they know full well Gaskell, championship leader, may I remind you, series leader, is right there. If they so much as take a little bit too much curb, take a little bit too much grass, they're going to be waiting. Not going to hesitate. So, still having a very good run. Actually running fairly wide compared to others, so Shea is actually pushing compared to the others. Really trying to keep everything up. But we do have an accident report coming through. Let's jump to the replay. Let's see exactly what's happening. Here's Kevin Belic. And we'll see exactly what is happening. So jumping on board with the helicopter. That's going to be side by side here. And it looks like a little bit of a contact set to happen. Oh, there's going to be one of the cars up ahead. That was a yellow flag. That was the number 15 and the 12 car. So it looks like that's Michael Frey. In fact, Frey is going to be overtaken by Claudio Zaza. It looks like there are some issues here. It's all kicking off around the field. Yeah, that mid-pack remains a hotly contested zone of the track. Getting closer, though. Shea O'Sullivan, along with Sam Gaskell, just behind. These two drivers are getting very close. They're certainly going to want to make the run, make the move very soon. Shea is going to pull alongside George Boothby. He's really anchoring for that move now. Keep it close for now. These Porsches really do know how to make it entertaining. We're not seeing a load of chops and changes around the field, but what we are seeing is the mind games. We're seeing the stalemates. We are seeing balance. This is where we have a lot of the drivers now trying to gauge and read their opponents. For example, we're on board with Sasha Wesner right now. Been on the back of Defante for a long time. Trying to see if there's any gaps, any opportunity to strike. Let's say, for example, Shea O'Sullivan. They've been building up this pressure lap on lap on lap. Now coming into lap 7, you can see that Boothby is being forced to make defensive moves. Has to briefly tuck into the inner line before going back out to the ideal, to the racing line. Just trying to keep O'Sullivan at bay. O'Sullivan knows now that he's in Boothby's head. He cannot let that grip go. It's going to be a very close run. Let's see O'Sullivan really going to peel alongside here, Boothby. But good defense from the number 1 car. Oh, saying that though, there's contact made. There is contact between the cars, and Boothby, just like that, is going to be peeling out and returning to the track in P5. Let's take another look at that. Let's take a look again and see from the replay cam exactly how it played out. So Boothby on the defense here. It's going to be from the helicopter. With Shea O'Sullivan in tow. You can see running very close. A little bit of a wobble. Getting caught by the curb. Very similar to other drivers we've seen in the session. Boothby was unfortunately demoted down into P5. The result of that one. Gaskell is going to leverage full advantage of this, because now not only is one of his main rivals in the championship out of the picture, he can focus on his other championship rival, Shea O'Sullivan. I know we're saying main rival, because Boothby was certainly looking like one of the cars to beat coming out of qualifying. We cannot forget just how much these rounds matter. When we're getting to the stage where the gap between your drop round and your rounds that are kept grows smaller and smaller, there is even more pressure, one could argue, to perform at your best. It's going to be Gaskell. The back of O'Sullivan now is going to have the advantageous line, is going to have the narrow, but O'Sullivan is going to take a full wide sweep and is going to effectively box Gaskell off, pushing him back to about half a second. No opportunities are going to be afforded here for the number 2 car. So once again, would like to apologise for the issue with the livery tool. Did try to get it solved in the background, but unfortunately, solution doesn't seem to be tenable in the time frame. So sorry to everyone who hasn't had the chance to get their livery shown on the broadcast tonight. You can see Marcus Fox. We're going to jump to the other end of the spectrum now and look at the drivers in the lower half. We've got a fairly tightly packed gaggle of cars here. It is going to be Silverio, Fox, Haug, Frey, Flegg, Foch as well, all within the space of just a couple of tenths or half a second at most, one could argue. Flegg is going to be close, and oh, contact! Contact made. Haug is off the track, and just like that, that is going to be curtains for the time being. Let's capture that one more time. See, this is Haug on board with him right now, number 22. We can see here just jumping on the brakes, and yeah, big moment there, as that is going to be from Foray. Yeah, Haug now down into the bottom of the order. Certainly going to drop him out of contention for a little bit. So now, few key fights verging on the track as we are coming up to 20 minutes in. Those crosswinds haven't eased up, and the track temperature remains at a decent, if slightly brisk for race cars, 19 degrees. Here's Kevin Belic on Lois Rainier, both taking very alternate lines as we head now into the chute, down into the next sector, and soon into sector 3. Nicely done here. Belic is close. Really is going to bring a proper challenge, I think, in a couple of laps, but with a half a second gap, it's not quite there yet. Just isn't quite there. May still see a bit of life yet in the session, as we've got an interesting development around P5. It's going to be Belic actually going for it now. Design Rainier didn't get good enough of an exit. I mean, out of those last couple of corners and through the final corner, Belic is going to be ahead, and now into P14. Nicely done. I think we are going to see an interesting development from the fight for P5. Now, Boothby has recovered, but hasn't recovered much in the way of time. 2 seconds away from Philip Minard, who themselves has practically got their own pockets. But here we go, Sam Gaskell all just up ahead, going for a challenge and really teeing up alongside Sullivan. The clock is ticking. Gaskell is going for attack after attack after attack, and it's not landing yet, but one of them will. It's only a case of when Sullivan cracks, rather than if Gaskell yields. Delfante is going to be within half a second of Boothby. Vasner is really running close right now to the back of Delfante here. I think before long, Eric's going to have to fight both an attack and a defense front. So you can see Wasner going extremely close to the back of the number 4. Lights continue and they rage on, as we have got a bit of spacing for a good chunk of field. Godowski, for example, 3.8 seconds away from Amundsen, while closely tailed. Seeing a few drivers start to yield and start to reassess their strategy, I think, as well. You have a yellow flag coming out. There is going to be an incident further down. Let's jump on board with the helicopter and see exactly what has happened. So, here's going to be Michael Frey. Looks like they had an incident with the number 25 car. It's going to be Tim Flegg. See, oh no, just a bit of lift off oversteer, losing the car a little bit, and that is going to be contact between the two. Unfortunate to see Flegg now down into P25 with Frey into P23. Meanwhile, Luke Addison is going to be dropped a spot as Axel Ramunet is going to be taking a position off of him. Let's take the replay cam as well to capture exactly what happened here. So this is on board with Addison right now. A very good exit out of the last corner for Ramunet. Just going for the attack. And in the end, it is going to be a fairly sleek overtake through the 90. Say, rather impressed there, because Ramunet with a clean move is going to assert their position, assert their dominance over the corner. Gaskell now is going to be within a couple of tenths of a second. Looks like Addison losing his edge a little bit. Bit of a slide, bit of slip angle to head down it through the chute. And we spoke earlier about the slip and the camber being allowing of more push. But at the same time as it can be your friend, it can also be your enemy. Too much angle, too much push, and you will start to slip. And it's arguably more violent of a kick when you do lose out. As we just saw there, even a tiny wobble from Gadowski, that can reel you in. That can be all she wrote. The key with Watkins is progressive movement. Steering has to be smooth. It has to be well judged. Any sudden movements, especially with the cambering, and you are not going to have a good time. See, there's going to be Wasner going very close to the back. And Belic is going to get potentially a chance to tee up a move as Herpel has to take defensive measures. The pit window is now officially open as well, ladies and gentlemen. So within the next 20 minutes, drivers are going to have to pit in at one point. And with the narrow window, it forces the strategies to have, to a fair extent, parity. You cannot get away with any splashes and dashes at this intersection of the championship here. That mandatory pit stop does not include a tyre change, however. So refueling with a fixed 25-second time, that will introduce some penalties and will introduce a strategic element too. Do you pit in early and get out of traffic? Or do you pit in late and re-emerge with your competitors, having run a little bit longer on your first stint? Coming up to 9 PM, the track getting just that little bit colder. So more and more work going to be needed to keep that car in the optimal operating window. So I have a lot of faith in the field, but we see Hageman seemingly having a bit of an issue. Let's see exactly what happened to him. Hageman is going to come through now and into what looks like to be toe. And oh, yep, classic liftoff oversteer there. Brief local yellow being called out just for the safety of the drivers. And now going to be down in P18. Jump back to familiar faces, but I also see Nadazinski go for a challenge on Gadowski right here. Pavel is having to play the defensive game. He's actually losing a lot of time to Amundsen. Looks like we did have brief contact as well between O'Sullivan and Gaskell. Nothing noteworthy as they retain position, but contact was made. So Nadazinski tucking to the side at once again, but no shot at a position, no moves being thrown. It's going to be a local yellow for the number 22, Tobias Haug, as he's going to be going into the pit now, as well as Michael Frey. Both in the pit lane. Looks like Frey has been in the pits for an extended amount of time as well. So I wonder if we'll see him re-emerge soon. Don't forget, he did have that nasty initial collision coming out of the loop and basically getting kicked up by the curb on the final apex of the bus stop. Too narrow there. You get all four wheels on the curbs and you will catch your under tray and you will get kicked up on the rear axle. Very hard to catch it after that point. It's a tough ask. And we do see a retirement. It is going to be from Frey. So we are down to 24 drivers officially. Retiring out in the pit lane after being there for 4.5 minutes. That being said, although pitch tyre changes are not mandatory, they are still potentially available. So there will be an option if you so desire it. If you so wish. will be a chance for you to go. Looks like there's a little bit of cloud cover potentially coming in. We also see a couple of positions being gained. Samir Foch into P20. From a last place start, he's technically made up 4 positions. A healthy jump. Though I do wonder how come they were not able to get their lap fully done. Was there an issue or was there a choice? One has to wonder. It's going to be Kevin Bellish still on the back, hot on the heels of Dustin Herpel. And we're seeing this storyline play out multiple ways across the same track. We've got Silverio on the back of Hageman. We're seeing Bellish on the back of Herpel. Nadazinski on the back of Gadowski. And Gaskell on the back of Sullivan, where he has been for pretty much the entirety of this race. And it's ultimately a strategic decision when to go. You cannot just go for the jump and expect it to work out. You've got to play your cards right. You've got to play it safe. Because a poorly timed attack, a failure to execute, is going to have a lot more of a detriment than if you just stayed behind. Case in point, Gaskell flashes the lights, signals that Sullivan is on watch. He is on notice for the overtake, as he has been lap and lap again. But it's all just about trying to apply more and more pressure, get him under his heel, really just stress him out to the point where he makes a mistake. Even the most resilient of drivers have their limits. Even the best of the splits here in LFM are no exception. Gaskell 0.2 of a second behind O'Sullivan, and having been there for a significant portion of time, I think it's only a matter of time before we see push come to shove. We already see a little bit of cosmetic damage from accidental contact between Sullivan and Gaskell, although positions retained, no major issue. We are seeing a couple of the fights back off to around the half-second range. Like Silverio, Herpel, Nadazinski, not quite holding the same proximity. I would not be surprised if many of the leaders go in for the pit at the last possible moment. Leverage the most amount of time they can in clean air, or relatively clean air, and see where the road takes them. Meanwhile, at the mid-pack, you have a bit more flexibility. We've already seen some of the back markers, or Haug specifically, take the jump out. We have also lost another driver. We are down to 23 cars on circuit. We do have a second drop. There we go, through the bus stop. This really is one of those make or break sections of the course. That good bus stop is going to set you up for a massive chunk of the lap. Gadowski here, still having Nadazinski in his tail. Good bus stop, can lead you nicely into the loop, can keep some good momentum, put you in the right position, most importantly. A bad bus stop, as we've seen, can sometimes have disastrous consequences, can kick your rear axle, and can really put you in a spot of bother. See both of them trying to deviate their lines just a little bit to see who is going to react in what way. You can see Gaskell briefly poking the nose, just coming out of heel and into the next corner, back up the hill. Just trying a little bit, seeing what he can get away with. The mind games are everything at this level of competition, but it looks like we do have O'Sullivan bowing out of the fight. Gaskell is going to inherit the P2 by nature of O'Sullivan and Minar heading into the pit lane. So final 10 minutes of the pit window, exactly at the halfway point of the race. O'Sullivan and Minar looking to optimize their stints for the best effect. So we are also going to have Amundsen and Godowski to follow. Appel too. And most likely many others as we are coming up to the pits here. Also, Hagemann, Fox. They are both going to head in. Foch opting to stay out. There's going to be Tim Flagg. Or no, Claudio Zaza, my mistake. Flagg is going to be staying out a little bit longer. Remember, 25 seconds mandatory fuel time. No mandatory tyre change. It is an option, should they choose to accept it. We are soon going to see a few of the cars now heading out. Here's going to be O'Sullivan rejoining the field in P15. Minar in 16th. As well as a few more coming through. Here's Amundsen in at P17 now. Not far followed by Godowski. There's going to be a chance here for the likes of Nadazinski, well as Silverio, to have a couple of laps just unencumbered by their main opponent on the track. This is going to be big for them. Though someone we haven't talked about in a little bit and someone who has stormed away. Rantas Carecas now heading into the pits as the leader of the session. Gasquel following suit. Boothby going to come in as well. Delfante, Vasner, all going through. Ramune is going to stay out and going to inherit the lead of the race. Luke Addison going to be heading in as well. Nadazinski is going to come up to the line shortly. See in number 22 spot, that is going to be Tobias Haug staying out as he has already taken his stop, and he does have an opportunity to get some positions here by undercutting the others. See, there's Milan Kiss crossing by the good chunk of the pit lane right now. See, everyone is fully trying to optimize their pit stops to absolute best effect. 32 seconds is the time in the actual stop you want to have, with a 33 to 32 second lead time as well. Carecas going to be coming out of the pit lane. Is he just going to be able to jump out ahead of everyone? Yes, does look like it. Will he be coming into traffic though? Here comes Shea O'Sullivan on the back, and it looks like we are going to have O'Sullivan out, but not in proximity. Gasquel is actually going to be fairly close behind it. Still, the two having parity on their pit stops. Going to mean that they remain in very close quarters. As Carecas remains the leader, and so by 4 seconds. The squabbling between these two has led to a significant time gap. Gasquel now half a second away, having to draw them back in a little bit more if they want to keep this. Nicely done from all drivers so far. We are coming up to the final 6 minutes of the pit window. Ramune is going to be heading in. There's going to be Nadazinski as well. Kevin Belic is following suit. It's just going to be Milan Kiss and Tim Flagg left to take their pit stops. Looks like Milan is going to be going through. Just Flagg now. Then everyone will have taken their respective stop, and everyone will now be on even keel. Our standings will be true once more. So it looks like Flagg's going to go out one more yet again. Really is going to push that pit window to the limit, go for a longer initial stint, and then come off the back of it with a splash and dash type second stint. Interesting choice. They are going to be closely tailed, however, as Hagemann, albeit a lap down, is going to be hunting for a position. And even so, Carecas is about 10 seconds behind, 8.5 to be exact. Considering the fact that Carecas has taken his stop, that is a serious testament to pace. That is a massive testament. Nadazinski, Belic and Kiss out now. Where are they going to re-emerge? Nadazinski comes out behind Godowski once again, but losing about half a second in the process. Belic, Herpel, Kiss I think they're going to come out in fairly close running, but no, they are actually going to have a significant gap. Closest gap you're going to see on the track is Gaskell to the back of Shea O'Sullivan still. Quite an impressive session we have had up until this point. Very impressed. Many of the drivers out here. And something that has stood out so far is that the field is consistent, ruthlessly consistent. I don't know the amount of training that goes into this level of competition, but I can hazard a guess that it is a lot. You have to have some serious wheel time to compete at this level, be this consistent, and this effective as a racing driver. Gaskell getting a new fastest time of the session for himself. O'Sullivan just up ahead, getting a .697. But I do think we have some seriously good runs on the horizon. O'Sullivan actually holding the fastest lap, though Karekis does technically have one that's faster. It did involve a small invalidation of track limits, so that one is not going to be held in account. Tim Flagg is going to be the final car in the pits, and with that, everyone on the track has taken their mandatory pit stop, meaning the pit will soon close. No driver can re-enter unless you literally cannot continue. Either way, it's time to see who is going to be coming out on top here. Final 20 minutes soon approaching. Gaskell is still in the back of O'Sullivan, but Karekis 4.1 seconds clear of second place. Certainly a mastery at play. Certainly mastery is on show. Full driving expertise. Minar is going to be in fourth and actually in their own pocket. So got a couple of seconds at the back of Gaskell. Boothby is in P5 and actually has made up a little bit of time, about half a second to be precise. Not quite going to be enough to really take a swing back at his previous position, but half a second is going to give him a bit of a safety net to the likes of Eric Delfante, who is tailing them half a second away. And in another timeline could be striking at their position. We do have some gaps across the field at this point. A lot of drivers being separated by a couple of seconds here and there. Though we will check in around the field as things progress, as drivers start to get more into the groove. But looks like Gaskell has had a very rough bus stop there. He has thrown himself out wide in the loop and dropped an entire second. Remember what we said about drivers being at the ready to punish mistakes. One more mistake like that and Minar is going to be right on his tail. There are some serious competitors at play here. Minar, I'm sure, will be chomping at the bit to close that gap down and to reel them in. Mightily impressed. Let's see how the field does as we head into our crucial final phase. And for many here, who is going to attack forward? Now the field is going to have some points of convergence, but for a large part, most drivers are separated by on average 2 seconds. Now this is where a key strategic decision comes into play. Do you stay where you are? Do you hold on to your position? Do you run on nominal pace but not push too hard and keep the position? Or Do you try to close the gap? Do you try to reel in your competitor and take a crucial spot that could be the difference between a position on the championship and potentially save you from having to consider this a drop round? Depending on where you are in the course, your decision is going to vary wildly. For example, Hageman, 36 seconds away from the next closest car. So the best he can do in this situation, short of a miracle, is just run it clean and bring it home. Van Rossum is in the middle of this camp because they got 1.2 seconds away from Milan Kiss, and their previous lap time was significantly faster than Milan's, so they do have it on the boards that they could get this one. And in fact, a very rough bus stop from Milan is going to bring him right into attack range. Let's see how these two do. Van Rossum certainly hungry for the position here. This is what I mean. The race situation can change sometimes in an instant. Minar is out of that 2-second window, not really considered in contention anymore for the P3. They're going to have to reel back in if they want this one. Don't forget as well, track limits. Going too far on the track limits and there will be a problem. Mistakes from Minar could be Boothby's gain, and he's now within a second. Number 4 position. Van Rossum, like we were saying, teetering on that line. Contrast that to Eric Delfante, who's been within half a second to George Boothby for this entire time and run consistent. Even if they're not closing, will still be a chance to get something on the board there. We did have a couple of local yellows for some mistakes earlier. There's going to be Foch having a bit of a hiccup, I believe, in the first sector. And part of the reason why Hageman is so far behind is due to the fact that track limits, lo and behold, they had a drive-through to serve. So lap 19 cleared their drive-through, and now hopefully home clean. So these tracks can be punishing. One overstep too many and you will get pushed back. So it is interesting to see how the field has assumed a place of relative calm. Now, there's no such thing as a truly safe position, but a lot of the drivers aren't really making much time either way. Nobody is losing time, nobody is gaining time. Only real exception to this rule being Van Rossum, who is right up close. Though Milan is losing a lot of time to Dustin Herpel, 10 seconds away. So it has been a bit of a rough day for Carbon Motorsport. Both of the cars down in P22 and 23. They are still going to be ahead of last because we did have 2 retirements. And they will certainly be taking these ones as drops. But been a good day at the office. Hopefully we get to see them bounce back in future rounds. Up to the front again. Final 15 minutes on the clock here. Certainly looking like, for some, this race could still go either way. Looks like a little bit of overextension for Van Rossum with a wobble on the rear axle for Milan Kiss. Both of them having a rough 90-degree. Both of them having to remain focused. This much fighting over this long of a distance, it can wear down on you. See, Van Rossum gets up close, actually backs off of Milan. I'd argue backing off a little bit too much. Now they didn't want to go side by side into the bus stop. Still keeping their wits about them. Rossum really looking like a hungry driver. Number 18 on the number 15 car. Aptly in a fight, 15th. And time is of the essence. You're looking at about 10 more laps in all reality. So drivers are running out of time. Got lap 25 currently ongoing here, with Carreras leading by 4.5 seconds. Even Gascal has actually dropped to 1.7 seconds. He can't quite peel that time back to Shea O'Sullivan after that mistake on the loop. Hopefully they'll be able to get a good few decent laps in the final phase, so they don't fall into the jaws of a certain Philippe Minard. Say Boothby will be another one to watch now, 0.7 of a second away. Next closest to another car, just behind Van Rossum, 0.3. We have a local yellow as well for Artem Hageman, having a brief excursion off the course. Let's jump on board with the helicopter and see exactly what happened there. Hageman, be on board with the heli. We're now heading down into the tow. Okay, so looks like he was actually just yielding off. No incident to be reported, as there is going to be a bit of a yield. Van Rossum really keeping him honest. Milan Kiss is having to really put in work on the defensive right now. Major pressure being built up lap on lap. Same goes for Boothby, now within striking distance of Minard as we get into the final 10 minutes soon. We are deep in the night now, and the wind is actually picking up a little bit more. Windier and colder here at Watkins. Much wider line. I think Minard's starting to feel that pressure. Good run through the chute. Now George Boothby, the driver, hungry for a position right now. Who will be the one to lodge the challenge? Got 3 fights potentially brewing. Belic on Nadazinski, Rossum on Kiss, as we've seen, and now Boothby really getting within striking distance of Philippe Minard right now. And real close, both of them having a couple of wobbles on the rear axle as we head into the penultimate corner. I want to say Watkins as a track, if you do make a mistake, run a bit wide in certain places, like into the 90 and into this last set of corners, it can be very forgiving. You do have a lot of runoff. However, not all portions of the track are built equal. You make a mistake in tow, in the chutes, and arguably through the loop as you come out of the bus stop, you are very much out of luck. You make a mistake at the bus stop, the first thing you're doing, as we've seen from many drivers, is you're going careening into that left wall. Belic with a bit of a swing and a miss, quite able to get that position, but Boothby still remaining strong, and on the back of Minard right now, remains resolute. I've got to say, seriously impressive driving from the top of the order. I've got to say, Carreras, ruthlessly consistent. 5.3 seconds over O'Shea. O'Shea Sullivan? No, Shea O'Sullivan. That'll do. 5.3 seconds though. That, in this field of competition, that is a major gap for the lead. Meanwhile, 1.5 seconds from Gascal. Shea O'Sullivan themselves doing a very good job in their own right of keeping a consistent race together and holding their own in the face of a challenge. Looks like we have seen the overtake now come through for Van Rossum, and Milan actually struggling here. So let's see from the heli thing, see exactly what happened. So looks like there was a bit of a mistake. I don't think we were quite able to catch it. I think there was a yield there as Milan did stay on ahead via taking a bit of a external line from the racing line. You can see a very rough bus stop as well, leading into further issues with Silverio actually getting quite close here. Potentially looking at a move. Not quite yet, anyway. Boothby gonna be keeping it hot. Goes to the outside. Gonna get the move on Minar. Has the exit speed and keeps it through the bus stop. Nicely done. Well executed. George Boothby up into P4 now. Very well done. See, Minar, I don't know if they're going to go for a counter-attack here. That's the thing. We're down to the final 10 minutes, and Minar has steadily been losing time to George. He knows George's pace, knows what he's capable of. I don't know if we're going to get that run from Minar to try and counter. We do have, however, a bit of a fight as Gadowski, Nadazinski and Belic all run in together as they come down the chute. There's going to be Belic on the outside briefly. Nadazinski closing the door, heading into tow. All is quiet except here. Any move at any point could violently upset the tables. Silverio still on the back of Milan Kiss and will be a driver to watch as we will check in with them periodically. Trying to get close to Milan, not quite having it just yet. Belic running real close to Nadazinski. I think they might try go for a run into lap 29. Good exit out that final corner, set themselves up for an attack. Just a couple of tenths shy, unfortunately. Not quite there yet. All three of them running in close quarters. Nadazinski, Belic running closely together. Silverio trying his best to keep it close to Milan Kiss. Getting real close to the chance on a couple of occasions. Just not quite squaring up together. See, Minar is going to remain close to Boothby as we head into the final 5 minutes of the race, but doesn't seem to be making pace either which way. In fact, Delfante seems to be the car to watch as they are ever so slowly closing in. Nadazinski briefly trying to go for an attack coming out of the heel. No such luck being offered. Got a real challenge on his hands now. And Nadazinski is in an awkward spot. Does he go for the attack, try to go on Gadowski at the risk of putting himself out of position, or does he remain steadfast? Even with the carrot being waved right in front of him for Gadowski's spot, he's got Belic breathing down his neck. Nobody is going to have an easy time going through that one. Real tight battles about to be underway. I think if anyone is going to go for the move, they basically have to do it now. Because you're not going to get another shot. And this is where we're going to see if anyone wants to get the elbows out, now is the time.
Final 5 minutes officially underway. This gives us about 3 to 4 laps remaining. By the time the leader of Caracas crosses the line, that is all going to all but guarantee us 3 more laps. See Nadazinski. A little bit wide, going down the chute. Belic once again tucks to the left side, trying to peek for a chance at Nadazinski's spot. Even if they're not close enough, they are going to assert a bit of pressure. Belic is almost lying in wait, trying to get any chance to just put the others a little bit of an ease. See right there, getting real close to the back as we head out of the heel. Getting real close there. These are those mind games that we talked so much about previous. Even if you know you can't make the move, push up and get close. Make them feel uneasy. Make them feel on edge. Strike that balance. Keep your opponents honest. Are going to see a little bit of a trade actually. Meanwhile, let's rewind the clocks back, head to the replay. Let's see what we've got in store. Here's Pavel Gadowski having a bit of a rough final corner there, as you can see, coming up to the line to start lap 31. This is going to be Nadazinski's place for the taking. They drag race into the first corner, well executed from the Porsche in green, the number 17, taking P11, and that is all she wrote. Nicely done there from Nadazinski. Gadowski has a chance to recover, but is only one chance. I would say seriously impressed with everyone on this course at this point. It has been a sublime race, and even if it hasn't been as chaotic as maybe previous rounds or hasn't had as much wheel to wheel, there's certainly been a lot of mind games, been a lot of meta play, macro, micro. It's all coming to a head here. Delfante, close, very close to Minar. Not quite gonna have it just yet, but realistically, it's their last chance. We are on the penultimate lap. When Caracas crosses the line next, race control will call the final lap of the race, and that will be time. Be close. See who has the wherewithal to take it. Kevin Belic as well, getting real close to the back of Gadowski. Let's see if one move becomes two. Goes hot to the inside of the bus stop, just not enough alongside to make it happen. Delfante within half a second. Gaskell getting very close to the back of Shea O'Sullivan once again, as if biding their time right in the final chance. This is where we might see these two come to blows once more. Silverio onto the back of Milan Kiss as well, in through the bus stop there. Bit of slip angle coming in from the 21 car in purple. Time is of the essence, however. Final corners here. Gaskell tailing Shea O'Sullivan. The leader is on the final lap of the race now. You hear it from race control. And with that, Caracas is going to be the car that stands tall amongst it all here. See how Gaskell does. See what he goes for here. Will he go for the aggressive run, or will he keep it back? The timer has fully elapsed now, so when you cross the line, that is game over. And we're already going to see cars now cross. And we'll see soon Last racing taking place. It's when that leader crosses the line, it all comes to a halt. Let's see who has the wherewithal to take the chance. Gaskell is going to be so close to the back of O'Sullivan. Really are going to bring it all to a head and it all to the line. Really runs close there, but I think in the end, there's one driver who has stood tall, and you can see just up ahead, coming up to the back of the 22 of Tobias Haug. I think there's going to be a move being made, but final corner now going their way through. Grantas Caracas, congratulations, taking the checkered flag and the win of the race. Excellent stuff here. We also have Shea O'Sullivan in second. Gaskell with a very tight, close third. Excellent run from everyone here. Boothby, Minar, complete your top 5. Delfante not going for the move in the end and settling for P6, but a very strong P6 at that. Sasha Wasner in at P7 with Axel Ramune in 8th position. Luke Addison coming up to the line now in P9. And that will be curtains for them. Rounding out the top 10 with Anders Amundsen, number 16 car. Daniel Nadazinski going to make good on the last laps with an overtake at the last second on Godowski going into P12. Belik not quite getting the chance to go for that P13 into P12, but still a solid run nonetheless. P14 going to Dustin Herpel with Lorenz van Rossum now coming up to the line in P15. Milan Kiss is going to be in P16 shortly behind with Silverio really coming up close, almost overtaking. Saved by the bell, Kiss in P16. Marcus Fox, Samir Foch and Claudio Zaza complete your 20. And then you have the last couple of cars soon to be making their way through. So Zaza in P20, Tim Flagg in P21st, Tobias Haug in 22nd and Artem Hageman in 23rd. So again, last cars to come through. Caracas taking a victory lap as well as the session draws to a close. There you have it, folks. What a session it has been. Unfortunately, we did say goodbye to Rainier and Frey in the course of all of this. And you can see they're live stewarding. Some of the live stewarding reports. Penalty for number 12 for causing a collision as well. So that is where we're going to call it for tonight. And there you have it, folks. What a race it has been. What a run it has been for many of the drivers. And goes without saying to thank all of you at home for watching. It's been absolutely brilliant. Turnout has been nothing short of amazing here. And we wanted to thank everyone who comes up for these rounds. Of course, we do have a pretty exciting season coming up. The last 5 rounds are now officially in motion, with next week taking us to Silverstone with the standard GT3 roster once again. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you in the broadcasting and in the booth here. But this is where we sign things off now. As always, do join us throughout the week as well, as we don't just have the Case King Pro Series. There are many more competitions available here in LFM, not just in ACC either. We've got Assetto Corsa, Automobilista 2, Race Room, just to name a few, and many weekly series as well as dailies. So get yourself involved. You want to head over to LFM or consider joining places like the Discord if you want to get more involved. That's where we wrap it for tonight, folks. Thank you, as always, for being a brilliant, brilliant audience. And this is where I personally am going to be signing off once again. And night to all.